and I'd like to welcome everybody. This is the first of three meetings regarding the creation of a senior citizen health and wellness center in this location, 205 Claremont. So the town the mayor and council hired RSC architects to go through a visioning process and come up with a set of plans after community engagement for this space. So we do have a public service announcement before we get into the architectural visioning strategy. So Matt Amaral is our communications director, and Matt has a special message for us.
Well, unfortunately, our senior services director, Judy, couldn't be here, so she asked if I could share this survey we've been promoting around town. The mayor and council are discussing whether it'd be a good idea to bring back a shuttle bus or a jitney service of some kind. The service is online with a QR code, but I also brought printed surveys if you want to fill it out after the meeting. Some pens here, so I'll just leave it to the side. I don't know myself. I'm not really involved in I'm just sort of trying to promote it as well. It will not replace Easy Ride. I made sure that would happen. So that's all. I'll leave them here for the end of the meeting.
So with us this evening is Mayor Baskerville and Councilor Lockman. Mayor, Councilor, would you like to say a few words before we get started for the good of the order? No? Councilor? Did you?
I'm put on the spot to say a few words. I'm just going to sing a song or something, right? Because you give me a mic, I got to talk. No, welcome everybody. We're looking forward to hearing your ideas about this. We've been in contact with the, I guess, the collective folks who've walked through the space, which is just right across the way there. Will that be open for people to go look at it at all, or no?
We did a walkthrough a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Just out of respect for the record.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Operating out of there.
Right.
Not sure how many people would be here.
No is the answer. Okay.
We did a walkthrough with a smaller group before. We did a walkthrough a week or two ago with a smaller group, and we could do a future walkthrough. The recreation department is not ready for a larger crowd to walk through, so maybe at some point in the future, in the near future.
Yeah. And my particular interest is I am on the Facilities and Infrastructure Committee, and we're charged with trying to rationalize the space and the building needs and what needs to be renovated, what needs to be moved. So that's why I'm involved in the senior center. The senior center, as you know, initially was supposed to be at Mills Building, but when this new council came in, we realized that there's a whole lot of problems that we're facing that we have to deal with, and it became evident that the Mills Building could not work for the senior center because it may be needed for other purposes. Anyway, so hopefully you'll look at this presentation. It's a very good, I hope the space will work. I think it will. And this is temporary space. We will continue to trying to rationalize if there's a permanent space that makes sense. But right now, we were given the message that you want something immediately. So Mr. Marks knew that there was this grant that was available to help, that would help renovate this space. So hopefully it'll work temporarily while we try to look at other things. You know, we have to deal with the police department needs to be moved. This building, ultimately, we'd like to have a different building here. It's been around for over 40 years and it's becoming functionally obsolete. So we have a library. We're not getting rid of a municipal building. We just may have to move. These are all the things that we have to deal with. And it becomes very problematic as you have different pieces that impact each other. So, as I said, facilities infrastructure, we're trying to deal with this, and step one is the senior center being here.
It won't replace, or I should ask that question, will it replace any of the three
Not to my knowledge. No, no. That's correct, right? The Wally Choice, the Field House at Edgemont Park. What's the other one? And the library, yeah. So you know, you'll be working with the parties who manage that space, and there's no reason why it would replace it. It's just to be more of a hub, which is what we heard that the seniors wanted, and they wanted it quick. So that's what's happening. Okay? Sure. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
Do we have any assurances about this being a temporary space and not moving forward as a full-time and permanent space? Because I have concerns about that.
I don't know. No, I would say no, you can't have assurances. What we're doing is spending a lot of money to fix this space up for the senior center. And then as we move forward, you know, we have to judge what goes on. It's a moving picture here. Well, you have this space, you have Wally Choice, you have the Field House, you have the library for now. We're going to, we have a commitment to look at other space for a permanent, what we would call a permanent senior center. But I can't tell you the timing of that. I can't tell you where that will be. But it is top of mind in the Facilities and Infrastructure Committee, along with the other commitments, which, as you can imagine, are huge. Trying to move a municipal center, trying to move a police department. That's all, you know, very difficult. So that's all I can tell you. Insurances, no. But, I mean, what would you like me to say? That is the truth, yeah.
I think you're confusing. We're here to hear about what they're going to do.
Yes.
And then it is grant money,
Yes.
not the town.
Some money is town money. Yeah.
I think that we should be able to listen to what the individuals have to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
Because I think you're confusing things more so than.
I'm just answering questions. And by the way, it's not just grant money. $200,000 is grant money. 120 at minimum is town money. So there you go.
But the majority of the money is grant.
The majority of the money to refix, you know, to rehabilitate that place is grant money. 200,000 is grant money. 120 is town money. Okay, let's go. Let's look. Oh.
You asked what we'd like you to do. I have a suggestion that you double the size of the Edgemont house.
We thought that's something we've thought about, quite honestly. We have a whole list of possibilities, and we're thinking about them all.
So that's on the.
It's on the table.
I just want to say we just want to try to get you guys
that's okay.
asking on the mic, because even though we can hear each other for the recording, it won't pick up if we're not speaking on the mic. So we'll help pass it on.
So I just wanted to, really quickly, because your questions are valid and very important, I'm going to share that it is my belief that when we say temporary, we're probably talking a minimum of at least 3 years and outward, because we're trying to make all of these decisions that you all know that are necessary at times. So when we say temporary, I don't want people in here start to think, you know, hey, is our time up now? Are we moving now? And all the pieces are in process, and they do matter. You all won't get any surprises because we're going to keep you involved. But I just wanted to say that because to me, temporary can mean different things to people, and that 3 years might be 5 years. I don't know. But I can pretty much assure you that during the lifetime of this complete council that's serving together, that's how my mind worked into the 3 years. If you're wondering, well, why did she pick 3? I picked it because in another 3 years, another council will be here. And when another council comes, as you guys just witnessed, right? So we can't answer those questions because the next council might come in and say, well, seniors who are seniors, right? And by then, if I'm not here, then I'll step up and say, hey, I'm a senior, and then we'll have a dialogue. But that's how this thing works. So thank you all for coming. And let's let Manager Marks do his thing, and then after that, we can, okay, thank you.
Okay. So without further ado, Jeff Schlecht and Chris Brand are from RSC Architects. So turning it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody can hear me all right? So, yeah, thank you for having us tonight. We've been engaged by the township to plan for these improvements of the welfare office and Parks and Rec areas for the new senior services. And tonight's goal is really to share and introduce you to the initial planning phases. So I'm going to just start by saying, in general, what our overall task as far as being engaged by the township is to plan, design the renovations, and then produce construction documents for those improvements that can be then, we can get solicitations for bid proposals from contractors to construct those improvements. Then we can have that space. So right now today's goal is really just the planning of that. So we want to share with you where we're starting and get some input and feedback from you. All right. And I'm going to start off by just introducing sort of the what we're starting with. And then Chris is going to talk about some more specific ideas. Sure. My name is Jeff Schlecht with Principal with RSC Architects. RSC, we're an architecture firm in Hackensack, New Jersey, and we're involved with public projects similar as this. Mm-hmm. So the task that we have in front of us, as I said, is renovations of those existing spaces for senior services, senior center. And we were first given some conceptual ideas and plans from another site that had some spaces in there. There was some offices, some reception area, toilet rooms, meeting space. There was a library, things like that. So that was our starting point. And we took that plan and we broke that out. And we talked about reception, main lounge, a kitchenette, support space, some offices, and some specialty meeting rooms for like computers and library spaces and things like that. So, and then the space that we're talking about, across the hall, we have the welfare suite, and then we have the Parks and Rec suite, Section 8, sorry, excuse me. Comprises about 2,800 square feet of space, okay? And just for those of you that may have seen the previous location and some of the conceptual designs, that was about 4,000 square feet, so we are dealing with a difference there, okay? Our goal here is to understand how the spaces are going to be used, what the functions are going to be, what are the sort of activities that you as the end users, the stakeholders that are going to be utilizing the space, what your interests are for that, as well as something about aesthetics and finishes and things like that, just to get an idea so that as we advance this planning and start to work out how we're going to make the improvements to all of that, how everything is going to fit in there, and what that construction is going to look like. Okay, so we're just at the initial planning stages of that. So there's been no concepts designed at this point. We are going to share some ideas with you in terms of concepts that are what we call space planning, and it's just big boxes of color that we're going to get into. So with that, Chris, do you want to, we've only got one. I'm going to have Chris sort of go through, we're going to go through each of these spaces and talk about some ideas on how they might be used. We're going to go through about 6 areas there. Then we're going to pause and we're going to circle back to which one that anybody wants to talk more about. Okay. So with that, Chris.
Thank you, Jeff. Jeff led off with some spaces that we got from the other plans, as well some ideas that were given. One of them was a reception area. So what you see up on the screen, these are not renderings or anything. These are just aspirational images of other facilities, so you can kind of idea of what you're looking at. So you'll see things like a reception to accommodate various events, flexible layouts, things that could be in the space to get your mind in the right area of what things that the eventual layout could entail. We also have, on the next one, is a main lounge. And lounges take various shapes and sizes. They can be a whole suite of things. But in the main sense, it's a large gathering space. It's tables and chairs, socializing, activities that could happen, community meetings. And what you'll see up on the screen is just various ideas of either soft seating, tables and chairs, things that can move around. It can accommodate a varying a lot of activities that could take place. And on the next one, what we have is was a kitchenette. I don't know if you could hear me before. Do I need to start over? Okay, good. Sorry about that. So the next one is a kitchenette. And you might see these in various spaces. Sometimes it's microwaves, sometimes it's coffee pots, sometimes it's refreshments, things that can support meetings, or you're meeting with a group of people, you're playing games, whatever it is. And this is kind of a thing that could help you be more comfortable in the space. And you can see up on the screen, this could be a lot of different things. It could be something small, it could be something large. It can really accommodate a variety of needs. And then the other thing that we were given from the plans is support spaces. And sometimes it's a little boring, but these is sometimes what you really need. It can store tables and chairs, so you can make something more open. You can bring out the chairs. You can also store in games or instructional materials and everything. And also it can have things like supplies or seasonal decorations. It's a necessary aspect that you have to plan for. If you don't, then you're storing it in your space. You don't want to do that. The next one is offices, and sometimes these are programmed as administrative spaces. Sometimes it's just a small area to have a private conversation. Depending on the needs, it can be changed throughout time. It's something that it should be accommodated for in the program. And the last one we have is a meeting room. Sometimes you don't want that to occur in the large lounge space. Sometimes it's a separate room, so you can have something like a classroom, or you can have something like a small gathering space for many meetings in the same area. One in the small meeting room, one in the lounge room that's maybe not scheduled. So these various things that we've shown, the reception, the main lounge, the kitchenette, storage spaces, offices, and meeting rooms, that could be workshops and whatnot. These are kind of our starting point in what we got from the other drawings that were shared, what we heard from Mayor and Council. These are the ideas to start the process going. And as Jeff said, I think we're going to pause here, but I'm going to give it back to Jeff if he has any closing words.
So as Chris had mentioned, each of these spaces, particularly like the meeting room or the lounge area, those we're identifying as two of the major spaces there that would be there's I think a variety of means on how we could provide that space. It could be like you could imagine the main lounge being like a hotel lobby where it's sort of a very open plan. You can, once you walk in, you can sort of survey the room and see everything, but there's soft seating over here. There's a little nook over there with your kitchenette and your coffee. You can have a table area for games and things like that. And then perhaps that large space you're going to have a large event. You clear everything off to the side. That support space for those tables and chairs. You change the room around and you set it up for, say, a lecture style, something like that. But then you might have an activity that is a little more planned. Went the wrong direction. For your meeting room, where you might have a more dedicated need for it, whether it be arts and crafts, whether it be, sort of a physical activity room, sort of aerobics or something like that, or something with dedicated technology, whereas presentations, whether it's lecture style or whether it's a conference room or a training room, something like that. So those are some of the things that we wanted to sort of get some feedback on. And then for, the offices, all right. For offices, it could be, as Chris had mentioned, a dedicated office for admin space or a specific service that it should be utilized for, or whether it's sort of an open place, again, like the hotel where they have that convenience office area that you have in many hotels. So right now we wanted to sort of open it up to you to get some feedback. We can, I'm going to recommend we can start at the top. Whoops, I keep going the wrong direction here. Start at the main lounge area. Or no, we started at the reception. Sort of go through one by one to see if you have any thoughts, or we can scramble it up. I'll leave that up to you guys.
What is the total square footage of the area?
So the existing spaces over there are 2,800 square feet, 2,800 square feet. And in terms of space and area, we're After our discussion, we're going to talk to you about some of our ideas as far as how some of that space might be used, and talk a little bit about budget as well, because that is a serious consideration.
Thank you. With the budget you have and the square footage, you can't do all of that. And this place needs incredible.
Thank you for my introduction for the
incredible
post discussion.
Not finished yet. Incredible renovation. So the cost and what you're showing us looks impossible.
So as far as the images that we're sharing with you, so your point about the budget is you're absolutely on target. The images that we're showing you are not reflective of that budget. We can get you similar looks like that with the budgets that we've been told.
So much. I'm sorry. With the space you have, the number of rooms you're looking at, and we're going to be able to sit there and have games and do this and that, is 2,800 square feet. I'm 78. I've lived in 3,000 square feet, and I've lived in 2,000 square feet. And what you're showing up here, all these possibilities, are not possible. So could you tell us what is possible?
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead of ourselves. So we'll circle back to that if we can.
I sort of want to circle back to the beginning here. Can you tell us what the town has already spent for this firm to come in and make these plans? Can somebody tell us that?
I'm trying to remember what it was. It was 20, was it? It was 33?
You'll find out.
It was 33,000.
33,000.
And that's to get doing everything we're doing tonight, all the way to the ribbon cutting on opening day.
Okay. My question is, and I think there are quite a few seniors, maybe not all of them, and it was posed by a gentleman over here about Edgemont. You're talking about putting this $300,000 into a building that needs, and I've heard talk of being torn down. So what will happen? You tear down this building at some point in the next couple of years, and we're out again. And that money that's been the grant and the town putting money into is therefore down the tubes again. Why can't, and has there been an assessment of what it would cost to extend Edgemont Park House so that we truly have a place that's ours and we're not being kicked from here to there? Has that been done? Has anybody made an assessment of what it would cost to do that? And
So-
maybe one last point. We had talked about in a group that I'm in. What about having a fundraiser to augment the cost of doing this project? Because I'm sure if that were the case, it would be more than $300,000. But maybe there's an avenue to have more funds to do this and do it right, and we finally have a place that's ours. Thank you.
So I think that's a lot to unpack. I think I heard three distinct questions. Number one, this would be a temporary space until a permanent senior center is found. It could be, as the mayor and Councilor Lockman said, that could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, it could be longer. So temporary is temporary until it's not, until a permanent space is found. So it could be there, for the foreseeable future. We have a $200,000 federal grant that has to be used for a health and wellness facility, and it has to be spent by March of 2026. So we have less than 6 months, or it goes away. It's $200,000. $200,000 can make an impact on the space that's now recreation and Section 8 office across the hall. $200,000 would be a drop in the bucket if we're either tearing down Edgemont or replacing Edgemont or having a meaningful addition to Edgemont. That's probably, orders of magnitude more money than what we have immediately available. The third part was fundraising. I mean, fundraising is always an option, but we're here and now. The $200,000 grant goes away in 6 months. The town budgeted, the mayor and council budgeted in this year's budget $125,000 plus another $60,000 for furniture. That is our budget, and we'll try to make those dollars go as far as humanly possible. When you're putting a shovel in the ground or you're digging footings or foundations, it's eminently more money than doing an interior renovation of an existing structure.
No guarantee. I understand that, and that was my reason for asking, because we have no guarantee how long, and the mayor was very honest with us, there is no guarantee on how long we will have this space. And we've been dickering around now for over 2 years on this other space, and we've lost that. So we've been meeting here, meeting there, trying to make do. And I think that somehow having a permanent space makes more sense than continuing to have these patchwork situations.
There's somebody. Oh, right here. Sorry.
Go back to front.
Hi, I'm Barbara Mulder, and I'm really happy that when I retired 3 years ago to find that we had a very robust senior program, and I really enjoy doing the programs at the 3 locations we have. And I would have liked to have seen money go to those locations for whatever purpose would help them. But having money that you can use to improve the space of the municipal building, I get that, and you don't want to miss out on it, and it's not enough for major work. So maybe the goal is to call a community center renovation, not attach seniors to it, and just create and improve the space for the people in the building, and add some space that the seniors could have now as part of their inventory, or that not the Boy Scouts, but whoever's using the computers at Wally Center, maybe they can come here and not use Wally Center, and then we could use Wally Center. So that's overall my reaction, where we want to leverage this. Let's just not tie it to seniors, and say that townspeople will benefit from it in a health and wellness way. That's one thought. Okay, so.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. I think that's what's happening with Wally Center. We have to step out when certain things are going to be happening there. And Edgemont has been our home, and we kind of love it. And we thought with simple things like renovating the bathrooms, which are really important for old people, sorry, guys, but and being able to park and not in that loop that, every day people are just trying to get into that loop. It's awful. I've been in the Mills program for 5 years. I'm practically here every day. I tell them I live in the closet that we have in the. We move chairs around. We, move things in order to make more room. We need more room. And my husband kind of put together a little sketch of what might happen, and if we could look into that. No one asked us about that circular park. No one asked us about anything until coming here. And it feels like a fait accompli already because nobody asked. They didn't ask what we wanted, and they're not asking what we're utilizing. And you have seniors on Bloomfield Avenue up and down trying to make one class go into another one. It's a lot for us. I mean, it's keeping us, active, which is great, but can't we just maybe look at it and see if there was some way that we could do this with the money that we have? I've been in Montclair for 42 years. I wrote to the mayor and to the committee, and you've responded. And unfortunately, I was so busy with my activities, I could not come to see the space. I'm sure it's fine, and it's closer to me, but I prefer, and I think a lot of people who are here prefer to at least look at what can we do, because 3 more years, I mean, I have a birthday coming up, and I could be dead.
So, if I
Look at Edgemont. This is what I'm trying. I'm trying to make that point.
this
let's look
this
at Edgemont.
space in no way takes away anything from Wally Choice or Edgemont or the library. This is just an additional option. The one thing I should have said before, for those of you who don't know, the town will be milling and paving this parking lot out back in the near future this fall. We will be dedicating 28 parking spaces for visitors to the senior center. We will be shifting. This parking lot is often full. We own the lot next door where the bank was. We will be demolishing the bank next door and providing additional overflow parking for non-senior citizen visitor employees in the building and other visitors who are coming to the building. But we are going to be putting in 28 dedicated spaces for the senior center. We are going to be putting in an ADA accessible handicap ramp. There's already one to the front door. We will be putting in a brand new ADA accessible handicap ramp to the rear door. So that's not part of the $325,000 that budget that we spoke about before. But those are other kind of not off-site, outside improvements that the town is moving forward with. So dedicated parking and ADA handicap ramps.
I am glad you mentioned parking, because we have trouble with parking even at Wally Choice. And people have to walk 2, 3, 4 blocks in order to participate. So that 28 spaces is totally inadequate for us. We already have inadequate parking at Edgemont. We have no parking at all at the library. And so that for residents of this town, it is critical that we as seniors have more parking than anything else.
So it should be said, this room is often in use by the mayor and council, the planning board, the zoning board, Historic Preservation Commission, and others. But this room is not in use 7 days a week. It's probably not even in use 4 days a week, maybe 1 or 2 evenings of the week. And especially daytime, it's probably used less than 1 day per week. So in terms of overflow for presentations, for learning opportunities, for entertainment purposes, this room is not part of the, 2,800 square feet that's allocated in the recreation department, the current recreation space and the Section 8 space. So that's additional space opportunities that could be had in terms of some of the images that you saw with rows of chairs. Maybe the space, the office space across the hall is not the appropriate place to put those rows of chairs, but maybe the soft seating. Some of the other things that weren't mentioned was, classroom space, or yoga or Pilates or other things that people may be interested in, where it's a kind of flex space, so to speak. So those are some of the other ideas or opportunities that could be had in this space. So
I've had a hand raised back
there's a
here
lot of
for a bit.
people with their hands up, so please be patient as we call on you.
Hi. So I do a lot of the tech coaching at all 3 sites. So first off, we need a space for tech, which I looked through I got on the tour 2 weeks ago, I guess, and there is some space that looks like it's got potential to be sort of a tech kind of lab. My understanding from years ago, and I haven't gone back and read, but I thought there was a study of Edgemont years and years ago about expanding it, but the problem was the water that comes through there, that you cannot physically expand the Edgemont space. Edgemont, and we were there this afternoon, and perfect case in point, it is full all the hours it's open. We just had our tech moved because there was another class that couldn't happen at the same time as our tech coaching. And right now, the 3 spaces we have for the tech coaching that we do, none of them work very well. The library is hard. Wally Choice, you can't hear the person sitting next to you when we're in the big space, and that tech lab is sort of like hardwired the way it's set up so that it just doesn't work for the one-on-one kind of training that we're doing. And just to give you guys some input, we've been talking because Gateway has gotten some money coming our way, and we're looking at like what would we purchase in terms of tech equipment. And what I've been sort of facetiously calling what I want to do as a tech lab, almost like a senior playpen. If it's not politically correct, sorry about that. But the idea would be, instead of having a traditional tech lab where we have like a machine for each person, we would have all different kinds of devices, but also be able to do classes. So we would need some storage where we can lock things up. And when I looked at the big space across the way, what sort of hit me was to have it be as flexible as possible and really be a multi-purpose kind of space where you can divide it into smaller spaces with like what the hotels use for keeping it quiet from one room to the next, but then it can be all open when you have a bigger activity. So that was just my, having seen the space, which I think, you didn't really show sort of what the outline looks like with no walls in there. And I think that would be, that really helped me visualize it better. So that was just what I wanted to say.
So I appreciate that input, because that's exactly the type of conversation and discussion that we're looking for. I'm hearing a lot of good points here, and you've obviously got a lot of you have a lot of ideas and a lot of different agendas. You've got a lot of history as far as the facilities that you have. We're working with this 2,800 square feet, and that's what we're charged with, right? And so one of our questions we have is, what is the best way that we can fit out this space to suit your needs? And if we hear from you that we want multiple classroom spaces, and we want you to get us as multi-use as possible for as many classroom spaces or different types of activity spaces, that's the sort of input that we're looking for, compared to a lounge space, or we understand the reception area is not going to be a priority. We understand that a kitchenette is not going to be the priority, but we do want to hear is, how would something like that function within that, or is it something that we just totally throw out? I heard something about toilet rooms. I'm going to come right out in front and say, toilet rooms, we would love to fit this out with more toilet rooms, but from a budgetary standpoint, we also have to consider where we're going to spend our money. But if we heard today that we need more bathrooms, okay, well then we're going to redirect our planning towards something like that. But our goal here tonight is to find out what is your vision as far as needs. How might it fit in with all the other facilities or services that you have? How can we best utilize this space, this 2,800 square feet of space that exists today, with the opportunity of the budget that we have today to facilitate that? So.
I have a question. I can say it really loud. What's with the offices? I'm questioning the use of space for offices.
So again,
Sorry, the reason we wanted to speak into the mic is if it's not recorded, then in the video and for Judy and whoever else, they won't be able to hear. And this is the most important part, because we want to hear your feedback. So I know it's a little clumsy, but.
I'm questioning the offices. It was plural. And I'm wondering if that's a good use of space. They're clearly maybe having one office for a private conversation or some detailed work that requires someone to be in an office. But I don't understand why the word plural on offices.
Absolutely. So again, This list of spaces that we've been talking about and that we shared some images of are taken from that conceptual design from once upon a time that we were provided of a previous idea of a senior space. And it included multiple offices. So that's one of our questions we have. Do you need one office, two offices? Do you need offices at all? That's a...
I'll be quick. Do you have a schematic picture that depicts what is movable in there
So-
without all these existing
So
offices?
this is the existing plan that's there. It's sort of an L shape or a weird boot shape.
Right, but
There's a hallway and the elevators and a stairway here. You have the Section 8 here, this suite.
Where are we in relation to that?
We're over here.
Okay.
We're right down here. You're right there, I'm right here.
Right.
This is the existing.
Where am I now? Yeah.
We haven't come up with a design yet. Today is just a vision plan. This is just to hear your ideas of what do we need to put in here. We've got a 5-pound bag. Are we putting 2 pounds in it? Are we putting 5 pounds in it? Or are we putting 10 pounds in it? We don't know what we have to fit into this bag yet.
Okay, we want to be realistic, and I think this is what we're getting down to here. 2,800 square feet is not a senior center. Let's put that right on the table. It's a senior space if we do something with it, okay?
That's
So
fair.
let's not call it a center, okay? Now, what is the maximum functionality we can get out of 2,800 square feet? What is the maximum functionality for actually meeting the needs of our community? And maybe you should throw out that old design because it does not pertain at all. How many of these walls cannot be taken down?
All of these walls can be removed.
Very good. So we're now
We'll start
dealing
there.
with
All of those
2,800 square feet of open space. Okay?
This is true.
Okay. Now, I presume if we're going to have 2,800 feet of open space, one of them should be an office so that the space can be managed.
Okay,
All right?
that's fair.
Now, since we were promised that we would have some of the digital inclusion activities there, if there were a space in this facility that had flex walls, we could actually have that digital inclusion facility as long as there was storage. If we do not actually confirm any other walls but have flex space there, then there could be physical fitness, there could be large lecture halls, there could be actual games. So let's be realistic and not try to overthink this. It is only 2,800 square feet.
You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct, and it's our goal to try and maximize that. Chris just made a good point that we could sort of might assist this conversation. Is we do have some space plans. We call them space plans. It's not a conceptual design. It's not a layout of exactly how things would be, but it's how that 2,800 square feet could be utilized. All right. There are things to consider within that, which is the budget, which is one of the first comments that was made, is that although all those walls can be removed, to put up new walls, if we to fit out all that 2,800 square feet, is going to be more expensive than fitting out half of that, 1,400 square feet, and maintaining 1,400 as it may currently exist. Because an office, we have an office here, we have an office here, we have an office here, we have an office here. So we have opportunity to capitalize and maximize our budget by repurposing office spaces that may exist.
I'd like to ask an expert in the room about how to manage the space. Michelle, what would be the minimum open space that you think you could work with?
Okay, one of my concerns is, well, first of all, I think you need to know that many people have worked on the ideals of what we need. So we do have together a printed list.
Okay.
if that would be helpful.
That would be fantastic. Absolutely.
Okay.
We would
And I'm
totally invite
happy that so many people repeated a lot of the things that are on that list. So keep them coming, folks, because our ideas and our list came from you. But one of my other concerns is working with Aging in Montclair. We have a number of what we call facilitated groups, which are discussion groups of like 8 to 12 to 15 people. And sometimes very confidential topics come up. So I would like to see some type of space where confidential conversations could be held. I'm talking about soundproofing. I'm also thinking if a nurse comes down, or Lizzie, the social, things happen. So I would like to see that brought in. And the other thing I would like to see brought in is actually the reception to the space. I'm not talking a huge lobby, but I'd like to see a welcoming space, again, where someone could sit down, while they're waiting for the other volunteer who is ever at the desk to help. My other concern, and I agree with the lady on bathrooms. When I'm looking at this, and I admit, I have never been to the ladies' room on this floor or this building. So I'm assuming that it's handicapped accessible. But I am also concerned that if we have 50, 60 people at an event, do they have to come out of the senior center space and walk through the hall to the ladies' room? And just what concerns me with that are the doorways, and is that going to be accessible to the internal space? We will have people on wheelchairs and walkers. So I'd like you guys just to keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Men as well.
Absolutely. All valid points. The sort of plan is that we would be utilizing the toilet rooms that exists currently in the municipal building and not be incorporating that as part of the project.
So they will have to go out of the senior center.
And correct, they would have to leave the senior center or the space.
Hi, I'd really like to step back a moment here. Now, I do understand, and I did understand when I asked my first question, which I think it's clear that there's many people in this room who really feel concerned with the fact that we were overlooked right from the beginning. And here we are in a meeting planning what we're going to do with this space, although no one asked us about this space. And a lot of us, we haven't seen the space, and now we're planning a room where, for me, I'm a very creative person, but I'm having difficulty visualizing the reality of this. And I think everyone is. I think the past two women who spoke were very, very helpful in terms, and did something real, and clearly they have something in their background that helped them articulate things. And it's silly to have people back and forth giving ideas when they're just coming from everywhere. It appears to me that makes it seem like we're participating, when in fact we're just simply being ignored here in this meeting today. There are many, many people who made it very, very clear. And one person asked her, with all due respect, a direct question, and it was answered with talk of parking and how this building is going to work. The question and the concern, which is very palatable in this room, is not being addressed. And it's very unfortunate. That's what I'd like to say.
We had a question up here that's been for a while.
Okay.
I'm sorry I'm late. I missed the beginning. I was celebrating my 93rd birthday, so that was a nice excuse. But I'm really disappointed in the entire process. You can't hear me? I'm disappointed in the entire process, starting with the Mills building, which for years at town meetings I kept asking about, and there were evasive and non-answers. There's an architectural plan that was done. It's still in the planning office. Why wasn't that used? What's going to happen to that building? These are secrets that are crazy. This building apparently is in very poor condition. Prior to these ideas, it was going to be renovated or expanded into the parking lot. If this building is so bad, how could it be renovated to a new use for elderly people which need clean, atmosphere clean locations? The bathroom situation, that's a no-brainer. Old people pee all the time. So you've got to get that in your head. I heard there's a kitchenette. Food is an important part of socialization. You need a kitchen and a facility that people can join, whether it's doesn't have to be a free meal, but a place where people can get together and socialize. You don't need any social background to be able to do that. You don't need any skills. And none of this planning, this socialization, seems to be, these are all little tiny rooms. We don't need tiny rooms. We can always use barriers and close off spaces. I think you have to go back to many planning board meetings and include the residents. We need a lot of parking space. Some of us have trouble walking, but we can drive a lot. And that has to be accommodated, or get a better transit system in town that can pick people up and drop them off. That's another issue, but somebody should think about that too. The whole town can benefit from that.
Thank you for that. And I just want to respond because that just brought up a good point. We had one about we heard one about training and the tech. We heard one about reception, or at least a place to first enter in and pause, as I said, to perhaps wait for somebody or survey the room. And then I heard about the kitchenette, and I heard about food. So, well, that's what I wanted to ask about. It's because they're two distinct type of spaces on how they would work and how big they might be. One might just be for convenience, and there's a craft of coffee and some donuts on there. I'm hearing that's probably not the direction we want to go. So an area that could be used to share some food and perhaps clean up and prepare some. Well, I do, and okay. Noted. Very good.
This woman's had her hand up for a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you. One, I really agree with Anne in terms of this is not a center. I thought this was supposed to be a senior hub. And a hub indicates to me that that might be where we have our tech classes and our support, because you don't need a large space, an auditorium-like space for that. When you say we only need one office, having volunteered for seniors for a number of years, yes, you do need office space. If I have to do a report, I have to lay all those papers out on a table or a couple of tables, and at Edgemont, I have to wait because somebody's waiting for that table for whatever that activity is supposed to be. So we need more space for the volunteers to actually do our jobs, okay? There's not going to be space in that 2,800 feet for more exercise. Yes, we do want more exercise, but that is not the place to have it. It just isn't. Let's look for our key priorities and make that space, that hub, for those priorities. Not a be-all, do-all, because we'll be here all night talking about this. Everybody has good ideas, but I say, please take some money and fix the bathrooms, update the bathrooms at Edgemont.
I thank you for that, because you articulated that very well, as far as that when we saw the program and we saw the size of the space, those were our concerns, and we wanted to hear from you what sort of hub this space should be known for. Is it going to be for the meeting space? Is it going to be for where I'm going to meet my friend for lunch, or is it going to be for where I'm going to go for tech? That's good feedback. That's what we want to hear about.
In the back here.
I'd just like to address the idea of the kitchen. I think it's something we don't need. I don't know who's going to clean it, who's going to wash the coffee pot. We don't have that kind of staffing. So I would rather not have a kitchen. I'd rather have more space allocated to the main room where we need to do big exercise classes. And for tech, we need a closet with a lock and a place to sit. Whether there's an office or not doesn't really matter, but we need a desk and a table, a chair, for each volunteer and person that we're helping. So, we can use a regular classroom.
Thank you. In your list that you have, how many offices, does it have a quantity of offices, or how many volunteers you might have coming? Okay, fantastic. That's good.
Yeah, but
as I understand it, yes. Right. And so I can only help you out with 2,800 square feet.
Listen, I have a question. First of all, one of the problems, I'm a widow. I'm a widow. I've been a widow since today, 9/11, 24 years ago. One of the main problems with being a senior is loneliness. It gets you physically, it gets you emotionally, it gets you everywhere. We don't have a place where we can meet. And 2,800 feet, because now that I'm hearing all that needs to be done, and I didn't know, I don't know if we're ever going to have a senior center. If they're not always going to just take it away from us and reuse it for something else. If a hub is better to solve problems for people, for seniors to come to, okay. But I'm saying there's also no place for us just to meet, to relax, to talk, to have a few games. There isn't. And it looks like there's never going to be. As far as getting grants is concerned, first of all, I was a social worker. To apply for a grant takes a while. So you knew for a while you weren't going to do something. That's why you applied for the grant. Thank God we got the grant, since you were going to push us under the bus. But now let's decide. Are we going to be able to meet and greet and also solve our problems, and we don't have enough space to exercise? They're only giving us a mouse amount of space. So we're going to have to decide. I mean, we're going to have to decide what's a priority. Is it a priority for the volunteers in solving problems and big exercise, or is also mental health a part of this?
Wellness Center should be the big exercise place.
Well, we don't have that.
We mostly have it.
I'm giving this up.
So I'm going to take a different approach here. As Chris was mentioning, wrong way again.
Can I ask a question about that picture before you move on? It'll only take a minute.
Sure.
Okay. I assume it's the hallway that juts in there, and the building goes.
This is the sort of
rooms
rear
go out to
hallway.
the front of the
The
building.
entrance is right here.
No, I mean upper right corner. Is that toward the front of the building, Claremont Avenue?
This is, yes.
The
That's correct.
offices.
Yep.
Yes? Okay, so you go around there. I don't see any fire exits or any exit there, any doorways on that side. I mean, we're talking having, 50, 60 people in a room at a time.
So right now, this is just the existing conditions. So this is how it exists today.
Right.
We're not
right.
proposing this is the plan. As we develop the plan, if we find that we need to have more exiting in certain locations, we're certainly going to plan for that. Our goal is to hear what your priorities are, and we're hearing a lot of them. We're hearing a lot of them here.
Of an area where people can sit and and maybe have a cup of coffee and talk together and play cards themselves, not maybe in an organized game day. We have what are called offices, but I would call workrooms. So spaces for people that need to get stuff done for the benefit of the seniors or for the town even, that they need to have some privacy. And then we have the social need where there's a nurse and a social worker, and maybe there's a need for some private discussions. We've heard those four. They seem important. Those are, those are the priorities, right? The kitchen, we can't deal with a kitchen, but maybe a kitchenette and bathrooms.
Okay, here's the deal, guys. I did a $3.5 million restoration at Union Congregational Church. I know how far money goes. I did that 2011, 12, and 13. I had to do it because all my other friends on the committee were still working, so I got stuck with that. 9 months a year, 9 months, 5 days a week, okay? Ran these big projects. So I know all about dry space and wet space. And of course, in Montclair, the water's either coming down or it's coming up. That's our biggest problem. We never talk about water. This has to be a dry space. That means you're not getting a bathroom, you're not getting a kitchen, you're getting dry space. No bathroom, no kitchen. You got to utilize what we have in the facility. And it's a very good point about an exit door. I never thought about that, but whatever we need when it comes to safety is going to have to be, and that is a lot of money. That's a lot of money, guys. So with this grant that we have to what, March to spend? Did somebody say we have that to March?
Till March. We got to get a move on. Yep, absolutely.
We got $210,000 and we have to spend it by March. It has to be spent so we can submit the bills.
It has to be encumbered. That's
okay?
Right. Yep.
And we don't submit the bills by then, we ain't going to get the money. We're going to eat it ourselves, and Renee's not going to like us too much. They're giving us 120, and this thing is giving us 210, I guess it is.
You have
Or
325. 325,000
All right.
is what.
All right, and
we've
you
been
guys are
provided for.
already 33,000 as part of
We're
this.
not part of. I don't think we're part of that.
Oh, you're separate. Yeah,
we're separate.
You came
So
for free.
My right now, what I'm working with is right. So right now, I'm working with the 2,800 square feet and 325,000. All right, and your points are absolutely valid.
So 33,000 off of the 325,000.
Your points are absolutely valid as far as wet space and dry space, and thinking about the provisions that the vision that you want and what the value of those things are, right? And so what I wanted to sort of move if I may, can I sort of move the conversation a little bit?
We have to move the conversation because we only have to March to spend the money. So we can't have
have 3
Absolutely. and 4 more meetings, guys.
So we're going to make this happen.
We have to have a small committee of people that are going to make these decisions. Then we can bitch about it later.
So with the effort of trying to move this along, what I want to do is I want to share with you these space plans that I shared with you. So what I'm going to have put up on the screen are some color-coded plans. And we'll take questions after this. I just want to share with you because this will try to give you a little bit more perspective with regards to the value or the budget, all right, wet and dry spaces, and have an understanding of what might be possible, okay, or what might not be possible, right?
One clarification, there are no interior bathrooms to the space we're talking about, but there are 3 toilet rooms immediately adjacent. So they're immediately adjacent. They're easily accessible. So there are in effect restrooms there that are part of this. The second point is the mayor and council in this year's budget also allocated $60,000 for furniture. So the budget is supplemented by an additional $60,000.
Thank you. So what I have up on the screen right now, it's called option 1. 1A, it is saying, let's take that entire 2,800 square feet and how might we be able to utilize that space? That means that all those walls would be coming down. In this concept, the only wall that remains that's existing is this wall right here, okay? Not a tremendous amount of savings as far as value, but this shows you you enter in here, Okay, we have the main space. It would be an open space like that sort of hotel lobby space. It's big open plan, some soft seating, some tables and chairs for games. We have a long kitchenette so that we have multiple opportunities for sink, refrigerator, storage as serving capacity. We have a small reception desk, not something that's necessarily manned. It's just an open reception area where you could have materials stored. We have 2 offices in the back here. We have a large meeting space that could be utilized for whatever, sort of training, sort of a large group area. And then we have a space here that is a medium-size meeting space to try and get some flexible area there, okay? As far as the color coding, yellow is reception, main lounge is all of this pink, kitchenette is this green space, offices are purple, and meeting rooms are the purple, and this is storage support space. I want to start, all right? So what I wanted to share this first with you to say if we were to utilize all of that space. However, this would go over your budget. It would surpass your $325,000. We would imagine that the computers would be in this space here, or this space here. We could add another door, put a wall divider, a folding divider, and make it, to that. So that would be going for gusto, right? But I'm here to tell you we have a short deadline. We've got a limited amount of money that we have to spend in a short amount of time. I don't think we're going to make this one. So good. No. Oh, I have to work with what I've gotten. Yes. As far as size, I have to work with that.
Yes, these we put together just to give people an idea of, based on what we knew to date was feasible. Now that we've heard what you need, obviously they're going to be revised based on our feedback from mayor and council and everyone. These are, so I don't want you to feel like we're not going to do any of it, but we had to put together something to help you visualize based on understanding what could go in that space. So Jeff ran through an option that would probably be over budget, using all the space available. We have another option that's smaller that we think would be within budget. Again, it's not the exact program you talk about today. It's just something we thought about, and it's only a space plan.
We're here. No, we're here. We're here because this is, let me tell you, this is all valuable information that we're getting from you. All of this input that we're getting from you. The number one thing is we understand that the original program that was provided was, not realistic, and we need to focus this more like a hub and sort of identify what is the most important thing that we can, really utilize this space for. Our desire is to try and get you everything that we can, right? But we have to work within those parameters. The second little concept that we put together said, what if we were to maintain some of those existing office spaces, some of those existing walls? So we have some medium-sized offices back here that would be maintained in terms of the wall areas. How could they be reused? These two could be utilized as perhaps smaller meeting rooms for tech training. Not maybe for 12 people, but maybe for 6, 8 people, okay? This space here, it would be one that we would have to create that could support, could be a tech space, could support about 12 people, could be an arts and crafts space, a little bit more possibility. We have a large office here. We have a regular size office and a sort of a medium size office here that could be utilized again as a meeting room or as an office. And then the red area would be the that open lounge area, which we would imagine would be some soft seating, tables and chairs for games or whatnot, or to be supported by a kitchenette. Okay, wouldn't be a kitchen. Wouldn't be a kitchen. That would be a kitchenette. Okay. Noted. I'm almost
Okay.
there. Believe me.
I'd like to point out that the Division of Senior Services has ample offices on the third floor, and the Department of Health and Human Services has ample facilities on the third floor. That's where nurses can actually meet with people who need help, and private space can be allocated there. There's no need to reinvent that on the first floor. Okay. Then I have seen the interior of the building with those offices there. There's no light because all of those offices have windows. If you continue to use this, this will be a dungeon. And that's not something that's going to uplift the spirits of the seniors. How many square feet are we looking at now? This is the affordable part.
This is 1,900 square feet.
1,900 square feet, folks. Okay.
So
I will tell you right now that from my point of view, this is totally unacceptable. Okay? Now, I'm speaking for myself, but I've been doing this for many years, since 2008. This is the third time that this community has pulled the rug out from under seniors. Now, one of the things about the hub and making it an activity space was actually commented on here. How are you going to go from place to place to make the activities? You have to have a bicycle to get from Edgemont Park House to the municipal building, to the Wally Choice Center, and to the library. And then, if you're lucky, you will have an online calendar that will tell you where things are. And we do not have that online calendar right now that's comprehensive, okay? So, why should we try to open up another space that's just going to cause more complexity in terms of trying to meet the needs of our seniors? Because obviously, this is not going to meet the needs of our seniors. So this tells me one more thing, and I know that we've heard from the mayor and from Member at-Large Lockman about this, but there are master plans in all townships, and I would like to see a master plan include a comprehensive, purpose-built senior center. Purpose-built, not retrofitted. It is the safest way to address the needs of seniors, not retrofitted. Where is our master plan with the senior center that we need in it so that the next council cannot reverse it on a whim?
We have another question back here.
Hello? It was mentioned that the town has bought this bank here. What is it going to be used for if the town owns that land? Why don't you build us a senior center there?
So there is not an unlimited font of money. Montclair's average property taxes are about $24,000. The mayor and council are extremely cognizant of the crushing tax burden on local property taxpayers. A decision to build a new senior center at multi-millions of dollars is something that the mayor and council policy decision that the mayor and council would have to make. As you may or may not be aware, last year the previous council floated a $6 million bond to redo Clary Anderson. That was the previous mayor and council. I could tell you earlier this week on Tuesday, this mayor and council canceled that $6 million bond, and they don't want to frivolously spend money or spend money that is totally unnecessary. I am not saying that a senior center is not unnecessary. But I am saying that the mayor and council are extremely aware of the property tax burden on local residents and taxpayers, and something that will cost millions of dollars is a policy decision of the governing body. So money doesn't grow on trees. I, as the township manager, have to live and make ends meet, so to speak, and make every dollar count. And if the mayor and council allocate millions of dollars, I will, I will implement whatever plans the mayor and council, see fit. But if the mayor and council are not implementing, bonding tens of millions of dollars for a new, from what I hear, a new senior center that everybody is asking for, everybody wants here, is probably in the tens of millions of dollars. It's not. So I would just, I heard some pretty, I heard a couple people visioning. Okay. So I'm just saying every dollar is a local property tax dollar. Somebody's paying for it. We have an opportunity to use a $200,000 federal grant, and we're trying to maximize that opportunity and save local property taxpayers money.
Hello, we've got a. I'll let the
Just
councilor speak.
one question. I was a little surprised when you said that $320,000 wouldn't take care of knocking out all the walls and opening up all the 3,000 square foot. That seems like, you're just knocking down walls. And why is that so expensive?
So it's knocking down the walls is the easy part. The more expensive part is putting up the new ceiling, the lighting, reworking all of the ductwork going for your diffusers, getting your alarm systems put in, getting all of your fire safety items in there, and that's even after we figure out whether we need an extra door to get out. That's what costs the money. But if we can maintain some of those spaces and maintain some of the grid, maintain some of the lighting locations, maintain some of the diffusers, that starts to stretch our dollar out a little bit. So in this concept of just space planning, of saying, what do we think we can afford? This is 2,050 square feet. That is the colored area, okay? Even though the project area available to us is that, we think that 325 can comfortably fit out and improve that colored area.
I have someone back here that's been waiting a long time.
Thank you. I want to comment on Plan A and Plan B. I know you did a lot of work on assessing the area, but if you look at the sign-in sheets for the activities that are sponsored by the town through the mill, there is barely an activity that has 6 people. Those 2 rooms for 6 people are a complete waste of money. There is barely an activity that has 12 people. There are some, book clubs, a few games. We're bursting in every activity. And this Plan B, to me, is a way, I know the money has to be spent by March, and I support that, and I know all about grants, and we got to find some way to use it, but this is not it. I would rather have half of that other drawing that you showed with big meeting rooms, which aren't that big. By the way, you said big and medium. I don't know what big is, if medium is 12. But we're having activities with 50 and 60 people bursting out of the library, bursting out of even Wally Choice. And I want to spend the grant money, but let's spend it on something that meets a need.
The question is about how big of a computer space that you need, but she needs to answer it still.
So when we do our one-on-one tech coaching, right now we generally have between 4 to 6 students with an equal number of coaches, sometimes a few extra coaches, sometimes a few extra students. So we're talking a minimum 12 to 15. Sometimes when we've had classes, we've done them at the library, and there's like a back room on the first floor, and it barely worked because we were on top. Like, you can't, one of the other problems is seniors like me wear hearing aids and have hearing issues. And so we also need to be a little more spread apart when we're doing one-on-one kind of training. The other thing is, I think to something Annette said earlier that she didn't raise, is I'm part of one of the AIM Widow groups. And that's a kind of group that wants to meet in we've been meeting Zoom, restaurants, wherever we can find a space. Having that as part of this hub would really be important. And my thought when I saw the space of how do we keep that private, maybe we just do a noise machine outside that space when people do have, like, we need to be creative about how do we keep the sound down from one part of the space to another. Therapists do it all the time, so we don't have to, we don't have to soundproof the whole space for that purpose. But, I would say for like a tech area, and the other thing I just wanted to throw in is we will want a screen or a projector set up so that we can do classes as well. So I would say 12 to 15.
12 to 15.
Or even up to 20.
Okay.
I got a question for the architects. Over here, Charlie Swanson. Can you show me how many partition walls you have that are just partition walls and how many walls are supporting walls?
No supporting walls.
No supporting
No
walls.
supporting walls
Good.
at all.
All right, I like that. Now, have you done an analysis of infrastructure? Because you brought up the most expensive part of this, the mechanicals. All right? Now, we need to do, or you need to do, as quickly as possible, a evaluation of the ductwork, of the lighting, of what can we keep as in open space as much as possible with movable walls that can be moved. And who's going to move the walls? The other thing that I want to know about is all the chairs and everything. Who's going to move them? Seniors are not going to move them. All right? All right? We're going to, well, that's the point. All right, yeah, all right, that's the point. But it's just something that has to be thought about from the manager's point of view and from the town's point of view. All right? This is a hub. It's not a senior center. All right? Let's get it clear. The town is doing the best that they can for the stuff that's happened in the past. If we keep talking about the past, we're not going to get any place. All right? So let's get working on the hub. This has to be done. And I really think that you guys are onto it, and we got to just see the next thing ASAP with some of the things we're talking about. Thank you.
Absolutely. And just for clarity, today, again, a visioning session, trying to hear your feedback and your thoughts, your priorities. We're going to get this program, this list of spaces that are more specific as far as number of people, volunteers and such. And then we're going to balance that with the budget, balance that with the distribution of HVAC and lighting and such, and create a schematic plan, which would be the concept that would be coming to you, that includes all of this input. Okay?
Question here, and then I'm promising the woman in the second row, we're going to go to her next.
This is for the township manager. You said that you have $60,000 for furnishing. Have you been at Edgemont and taken a look at the furnishing at that environment? And that some of that money should go towards Edgemont because the furnishing is awful. I think of the library and how this is supposedly a rich town, and you go in that library and it looks like a library in a area that does not have $24,000 in assessment of property taxes.
So just to respond, this is the project that we're working on. This is the budget that we have. In terms of Edgemont or any other place, if the mayor and council see fit in future budget years to allocate funds for other spaces, that's part of a future budget year and a future budget process. So this is the budget that we have, and this is this space that we have. So we're trying to make ends meet. Hold on, I'm sorry, one at a time.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you all for meeting with us. We do appreciate that, despite all the feedback you're getting here. My question is for the architects. To me, option 2 is not even worth doing. Option 1, you said we can't afford, but I don't believe that you said how much over budget that would be, and I'd like to know.
So in the planning stages, as an architect, that's always the first question that a client wants. How much is it going to cost me? I haven't designed it yet. I don't know, right? So what we do is we use some unit cost parameters, whether we're just renovating, new ceilings, new lighting, new carpeting, flooring, might be $175 to $100 a square foot. As soon as we start really renovating and doing a little bit more, we're starting to edge into that. Now we're modifying some ductwork and some diffusers, fire alarm. We're utilizing up to $175 a square foot to establish these concepts. If we were to fill out the entire 2,800 square feet, $480,000 at $175 a square foot.
We have a question here, unless there's...
I just want to say real quick, we don't have time, and I really resent us being pushed like this, but we are pushed. This is the reality. Are we going to get a committee together? What are we going to do to work with the architect? What are we going to do out of this? Are we going to get a committee together to work with the architects and get our ideas together? Because we got to pull it all together now. We're not going to be here all night. We're going to pull it all together, work with the architects. So how are we going to do it? That's my question.
Well,
So as part of the budget and as part of the proposal and the contract with the architects, we included 3 public meetings. So this is the first public meeting. There are, the architects will be going back to the drawing board after hearing all the comments, refining the comments, seeing what they could do. We will schedule a second public meeting to go over the revised, plan or series of plans. And then after the second public meeting, we will zero in on or refine the concept for a third and final public meeting. And whatever comes out of that third public meeting will be going to basically out to bid.
I just wanted to support Charlie's comment about an estimate on the mechanicals. I walked upstairs. I had never been on the second and third floors. I thought maybe that's where this was going on, but I see it's not. But it is freezing up there. And I asked some of the town's folks that are still up there, and they said it's always freezing, and they can't get it to be adjusted. And I couldn't work there. It's that cold. And they said in the winter it's like 80 degrees or something, so really hot. So I guess the question is that just because some of the people want it that cold and they're not getting their way? Or would you find out that the HVAC system, like the libraries, is not really, doesn't have any life left?
So a lot in there. When it comes to temperature and thermal comfort in any building, I can bring my engineers in here and they can tell you, I've designed this exactly to be the most comfortable space there is, and I'll get half the side of the room over here that's saying, I'm too hot. This side over here is saying I'm too cold, and there may be one person that says this is very comfortable. So what I can tell you is that we are bringing our engineers in to evaluate the system to identify which units are supporting that space, and they'll give us recommendations as far as the improvements to it for this space. I do know that there are multiple units that are supporting the building. As far as each one's individual condition or the state that they're in, I don't have that information. So.
Hold on.
I think these two women, I can't forget what they had to say. It looks like you and I have a couple things in common in terms of perspective. I don't know if we can add our voice to the team or not. Linda, is always, yeah, but I'm just saying, Linda, it's always great to hear your voice from my perspective. When you start talking about money, I'm not really sure of anyone else who, I'm sure I actually, this woman in the back had a lot of wonderful things to say as well. And I don't know what everybody else thinks, but, I thought that there was real talent in this room in specific areas to have a meeting about how to design the space within the budget. I think that we need not a meeting about that. I mean, it just ends up that we end up, half of us are upset about what we got, and other people are desperately trying to struggle with you to make sure that it becomes a reality. And this was kind of, I don't know, I mean, I'm sure you got something out of it, but I think that if we really took the talent that we have in the seniors and figured what we need among the talent that we have, that we should really create some kind of committee.
So
we need a committee of us. We need us with you. You need to hear us. This isn't going to work with all of us. We're wonderful, but we're all such individual people, and we all have our ideas. We don't have the time. And if we're going to use it, they've been moving us around, and like in the library, if that's open, you can have it. If it's not open, you can't have it. I mean, I would like to use this space, even though I think they threw us under the bus. I would still like to use this space. So let's get together, and figure out now how to begin and start, because we don't have time. Okay?
I think that's a fantastic idea. And having said that, as Stephen had said, we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to take a look at the information that you provided to us. We need to collect and memorialize all of those notes and comments that were made tonight. Go back to the drawing board and come up with our schematic plan and prepare for that second meeting. After you guys have had your meeting, we're going to come together, and that second meeting, I think, is going to be a little bit more focused. Absolutely.
Okay, I think, one final question. So many times when the woman brought out about the temperature in the building, we've heard complaints from everybody working in the building about mold. And we had asked at one time for the results of an environmental study, particularly in that area.
So we commissioned an indoor air quality report. The monitor was out yesterday to gather data. We don't have that report yet, but we will furnish that report once we get it.
I have a question in the back.
So I just wanted to make a suggestion as another professional in the room, licensed architect and community member. So number one, if the people in the room would allow me to, I would love to be a part of your committee and help you kind of put that into words that will affect the plan in a way that represents you. But also, I would like to suggest if we can do that quickly, that information goes to you before you present next time, because otherwise they're going to be conflicting, and you're not going to get to the finish line fast enough.
Totally welcome that. Totally welcome that. Absolutely.
I'm Rachel Grahowski.
Okay. So with that, I think we're good.
Unless anybody else has anything to add, we do have handouts up front of the presentation that you saw. I'm sorry? If it's a takeaway, if you're interested in a takeaway, you're more than welcome to, see what went into it, see what's available. I would ask anybody, if you are interested in serving on the committee, please come up front and sign your name and your contact information on a sheet of paper that we have. We will we have to coordinate. These are active office spaces, so we will have to coordinate with the respective departments, and we will make that information available. Okay.